Yes.
Well, yay. Good morning, Facebook world. We're gearing up. So you can say hello.
Oh, hi.
We're live. Or not.
Hey. Jazz hands, Dan.
I know. Always do a little dance routine in the mornings. Waiting for Benny. Dun, 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 dun. I know.
Song and dance routine.
I know. We do it.
Oh, hey, that's pretty good chair
I
dancing.
know. It's my new move. I'm trying it out.
It works for me.
All right. We're gearing up. We got all kinds of good stuff to talk about on the 425 show today. Oh, let's move you over closer to Dan. A, because you can snuggle. And then B, oh, now we can see your smiling face.
Can you bring your mic up just a little
Yes.
bit? Thank you, darling.
Getting stage directions from
Okay.
Benny.
Stand by.
All right. Here we go. I have intro music that you can't hear in Facebook world, but it's awesome. Good morning and welcome to the 425 show, your place to be for all things real estate and lifestyle related here on the East Side. I'm your host, Nicole Mangina with Windermere Real Estate. Whether you're joining us live on the radio, catching the Facebook Live on my business page, always fun and entertaining. You can see our behind the scenes before the show and our pre-show dance routines, worth tuning into. Or catching the podcast version, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Today's show is all about real estate. We're talking about the lifestyle move, otherwise known as the pre-retirement move. We've got some great guests to talk about that with today because it's interesting. You know, your first home purchase, buy, sell, and sometimes your second have a totally different set of criteria than they do for this lifestyle move that we're going to talk about today. You know, your first and sometimes your second, you're usually in the thick of it, right? You're working, so you're focused on things like commute, potentially schools where you're going to raise your family, all of that type of thing. You're trying to really purchase a home that's going to work for an extended period of time for multiple people in different phases. But then you get to the lifestyle move, and it's all about you. Because now you're looking, it's also known as downsizing, right? Or doing that, and we're calling it the pre-retirement move because what I found is a lot of my clients are making this move before they actually retire. We've got Bliss and Dan Goldstien from Bellingham. They're fabulous agents up there to talk about that as well.
Thanks, Nicole.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely.
being described as fabulous.
You are
Yeah.
fabulous. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, we're really excited to be here.
Yeah.
And I love something you just said, by the way, about that. This last sort of move, this pre-retirement move, is all about you. I love that.
Yeah, it is, right?
It's about time, right?
It's right. Come on. But it's fascinating because I find that people are using an entirely different set of criteria when they're searching for properties than that first time, right? Because now it's not so much about commute. It's really about what's this lifestyle you want to live, right? On the east side, I have a lot of clients from areas like Sammamish, Snoqualmie, and usually that first and second move, it's all about bang for the buck, right? Like how much space can you get for your dollar? Because you've got to accommodate, you know, multiple people in this house. Now it's about what do you want to be close to? I have a lot of clients moving from areas like Sammamish and Snoqualmie, Redmond to Kirkland, right? Downtown Kirkland is great. There's all kinds of things right outside your front door. We've got shops and restaurants, the Kirkland Performance Center, all of these great things that just make it a really fun and neat lifestyle. And you're part of a community, you're connecting with people. You're also usually moving into something like maybe a townhouse or a condo because you're kind of done with the whole home maintenance thing. And so people really like that, but it's fascinating because in that scenario, if you're moving from like a Sammamish to a downtown Kirkland, you're usually downsizing size for sure. You're downsizing maintenance. You might be downsizing commute. You are often upsizing price. And that's a fascinating thing to wrap your head around, right? I'm going to pay more for less. Yeah. And that's about location. It's about condos and townhouses actually cost more to build on a cost per square foot basis. But the other thing that comes into play is commute. And I know my husband and I have had this conversation. You know, our boys are in middle school and high school. We're in the thick of it, right? We're not retiring anytime soon. And we are tied to this community and we absolutely love it. But we have some traffic and, you know, with traffic comes things like great shops and restaurants. So we like it, but there might be times in our lives where we want to opt out of that.
And I know some good agents in Bellingham you could
I know.
talk to.
Exactly. That's why you're here today. So again, it's all about them. And I know a lot of your business is that person who's doing that lifestyle pre-retirement move. So tell us a little bit about Bellingham.
I would say one thing is that we kind of did that when we moved
Oh,
up from the
perfect.
Bay Area.
Yeah.
Like 16 years ago, we cashed out of
San
Silicon
Francisco.
Valley,
Okay.
big bubble, wanted to change the style of life, and we found Bellingham.
Right.
And we had more time to write and play
Yeah.
and do all those
And
things.
how did you pick Bellingham?
I had been through Bellingham like 20 years before that, and
Right.
just made a brief stop. But I remembered the trees
It's
flicking by,
beautiful.
and a lake beyond that, and houses on that lake.
Yes.
And coming from the Bay Area, that was like an outrageous proposition, right? there.
Right.
So, we took a quiz online about where should we live,
Uh-huh.
and
And Bellingham was it?
Bellingham came up,
I love it.
and I went, oh yeah, Bellingham. Then I
Yeah.
had to sell Bliss.
Bellingham did not come up on my list. But the way he described it got me intrigued. So
You were
we came,
willing to give it a shot.
I gave it a shot. So we came up on a
Very nice of
Wednesday,
you.
and by Saturday we painted our house because it was just gorgeous and so
It's a
inexpensive
beautiful area.
compared to the San Francisco area.
We
Oh, I bet.
We tried to downsize.
We
Yeah,
couldn't.
you will probably
Price-wise, we did.
Yes.
But every other way, we
you upsized.
upsized.
Well, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Whoops.
Some people do that too, right? That's okay.
Yeah.
That's great. So what do you love about Bellingham? And there's so many, I love that drive up there. From here to Bellingham, it's not that far. It's beautiful. It's so relaxing.
Yeah.
And there's some really neat areas up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, of course, there's the natural beauty up there, and so one of the things is that I remember once being in a coffee shop in Bellingham, and I saw a Runner's World magazine cover,
Uh-huh.
and it said Trail City, USA. So I thought, ooh, what's that? I looked, it was Bellingham.
oh, look at you.
So
You're famous.
Woo-hoo. So we have incredible amount of trails per person, per
Uh-huh.
capita there. So and one tip is that if you're driving to Bellingham, you can it's not even notice that the trails are there. But here's how you can find them: is that there's these little stakes that come up. I guess you
Round
couldn't see that.
posts.
Yeah, they're little round posts, and they have
Yellow
yellow
bands.
heads.
Okay.
Little yellow heads. That's a trail. And now that you know that, when you start driving through Bellingham, you'll go, wow, they're just everywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. It's
And
like
they're
a
all
treasure
kind
hunt.
of
It's a treasure hunt,
They're all
yeah.
kind of interconnected. It's this whole network. You can walk
That's
all
awesome.
over the place.
But in terms of pre-retirement, I was fascinating for me to hear about your market here, about how you're going to probably have to pay more.
Mm-hmm.
It's a flip of that in Bellingham, which is that our prices are half of what the Seattle area is, and so people are always amazed because they can get a really great house but still have money left over to travel. Because it seems to me that when
Right.
people are thinking about pre-retiring, travel seems to be at the top of their list. So
It often is, right? Because that's usually something that gets put on hold
right.
Yeah.
when you're just in the thick of things. Or like we talked about before the show, my travel looks a little different now than it used to because a lot of ours is baseball travel. And that's fun travel too, but there'll be other travel that I look forward to a couple years from now,
Right.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about your market. What kind of properties are up there?
Well, they're stunning places up there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of views of
Mm-hmm.
the Sound,
Right.
the islands,
Mount Baker.
snow-capped mountains
Yes.
across the Sound.
Mm-hmm.
Turn the other way, and you've got Mount Baker, and
When we first moved there, we had no idea. People kept saying to us, have you seen Mount Baker? And it was really rainy when we bought our house.
Oh.
It was totally clouded over. And so we were just, what is this Mount Baker? Why are people bothering us about this? So we move into our house. I'm taking the trash out. I look across the trash can, and there's this enormous white cap mountain. So,
Mount
there's Mount
Baker.
Baker. And my
that's
neighbor
why we
next
moved
door,
here.
neighbor next door was taking out his trash too. I said, oh my gosh, look at that. He's like, yeah, so what? So,
Oh,
and
so funny.
we've never gotten used to it though. I mean, it's just so,
It's beautiful.
so
Yeah.
lovely.
That's part of our fun with
Yeah.
introducing people to Bellingham is we get excited all over again. 'Cause
Yeah.
we can see it through their eyes, and it's like
I bet.
amazing.
Yes.
To suddenly see all this stuff unfold.
The other thing too is that we don't have traffic, and so there's not traffic,
Right.
really low crime rate, and it's amazing. Like I remember once we helped some folks move from California to Bellingham, and they told us that they can't believe how much more they do now that they live in Bellingham because they would get to the front door in their California house and
Right.
go, oh, this is, it's going to be such a hassle getting here.
Right.
Let's just stay home, and so they're just like delighted with how. And these are people who pre-retire to Bellingham.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's great. And I think the pre-retirement is big because, a lot of people want to make this move. They don't want to, you don't quit, retire from your job, sell your house, and buy your retirement house all in a 30-day window, right? It is a transition period.
Yeah.
And there's a time of overlap where people are still working, but they still have their weekends and vacations. They want to go spend in these areas, try them on. I know you guys have great communities. Fairhaven, I think, is adorable.
Yes.
Right down on the water.
Yep.
And even downtown Bellingham is cute. You've got Linden. What is it? The Homestead is out there.
Yeah. Linden's very fun. It has 2 windmills in town.
Yeah,
Really,
it
why should you
does.
just have one? And so
I know,
there's
of
2
course.
windmills downtown.
Front Street, which is the main street in Linden, was recently selected as the best small town main street in America.
Oh, it's darling too.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
told me once that's what the movie Footloose was based on. Is up there.
Thank you for teaching me that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there you go. Well, trivia
Thank
from
you.
there.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's really cute. We used to do a lot of work with the Boys and Girls Club up in and around Bellingham and spend a lot of time up there, and it's really nice. Semiahmoo, Birch Bay, that whole area.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you bring up a really good point, which is that Bellingham isn't just Bellingham. I mean, it's Whatcom
Right.
County. And so one thing that's really important to Dan and myself when we first meet people is we have a buyer's consultation where we really figure out who are these people? Are they more Bellingham people? Are they more Linden
Right.
people? Because people fit into different communities happily, and so which one's going to be their community?
Yeah, and you're right, because I know you guys you've got condos, you've got homes, you've got acreage, you really have it all, and it's all pretty accessible.
Yes.
No matter where you're at, you can get to those other areas.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Everything's close.
Yeah.
Awesome. What are some of the other things you love about the area or that we should know if we're considering a lifestyle move up to the Bellingham area?
Well, for us, it was sort of a question of we weren't content to just move to a small town USA.
Right.
That was not a happy idea for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
There had to be, because we're giving up a lot from the Bay Area, just as
Right.
you would be from
Access to a
Seattle
lot of
or-
things,
yeah.
right?
So, there were things that made us more reassured. For instance, there are 3 independent film screens
Really?
in Bellingham,
Oh my goodness.
and it's a really central thing for the community. I would say.
Great.
I mean, it's important. And every month, every October is Doctober, and they play these top documentaries from all over the world.
Oh,
and-
interesting.
And very well attended. And,
Okay.
And then you've got the university on the hill,
Right.
which
The university has a really cool thing I should tell
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Yeah, so there's something called the Academy of Lifelong Learning.
Okay.
And so it's wonderful. It's a wonderful place if you're thinking of retiring to Bellingham to find others of your kind. And there are there are classes that you can take there, and it's really fun. Like I taught one at the Academy of Lifelong Learning about turning short stories into movies, and so we all read a short story, then we would watch the movie version and talk about it.
Oh,
And
fascinating.
yeah, so it's really, but you can take any sort of class that you would want through ALL. And then something else a lot of people don't know, even Bellinghamsters, is that at Western, if you're over, I think it's 55, that you can take any class at the university that's not all the way filled for $5.
No way.
Yeah. So
That's amazing.
yeah, so if you're somebody who really has an active mind and wants to be around other
Yes.
people with active minds, I mean, there is actually a sophisticated element to Bellingham that
Oh,
once
very
you
much
live
so.
there, yeah, you can really see it in terms of a thriving arts community and just all of that.
I mean, just people, kind of what happened to us. I mean, there's some very interesting people and accomplished people who move there because it's Bellingham.
Right.
And, producer of X-Files,
Oh,
or,
fun.
There's an improv theater, a live improv theater in Bellingham that
Okay.
was started by Ryan Stiles from Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Okay.
And troops come through doing improv, and there are local troops doing improv there. It's $8 a ticket at night,
Oh my goodness.
and he shows up
Okay.
and does improv, and there are classes you can take. Bliss took a class in improv. And
Oh,
I don't
you
know
would
if you
be
can
amazing
tell.
at
Oh,
that.
thanks. It was fun. It was fun. But you know what, though? I choked
totally
because at one
see.
point Ryan Stiles actually walked in, and I was a person who was in the middle of a hot tub scene with
Oh.
my husband. Not this husband, but my fake husband. Yeah, I lost focus then. So
Oh, that's pretty funny.
yeah,
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's also the Mount Baker Theater. There's
Right.
all kinds of live entertainment. This beautiful old Moorish-style 20s theater. It's a landmark itself, but I was there watching Lyle Lovett a few weekends ago.
Love it. He's one of my favorites.
So
That's
you
funny.
Yeah.
park at 2.5 blocks away on the street.
Right. And you don't have to
Pay
pay
nothing.
$50 to
You don't
park?
pay anything.
Okay.
The meters
Very
end
good.
at 5.
Nice.
And, he's right there.
That's fantastic.
It's so
Yeah.
hassle-free to live in
Yeah.
Bellingham, and I think that's a part of the draw for people who are thinking about pre-retiring is that,
Mm-hmm.
Not to say life is a hassle, but, we've all been through, raising kids and getting
Yeah.
educations, just all of that, and just to be able to relax, it's a more relaxed kind of lifestyle, but still have the amenities that inquiring minds must have.
We
So-
noticed that as soon
Absolutely.
as we moved there, that people took more time with each other and just seemed
Right.
generally a little happier. And I think it was partly, it's not such a struggle just to
Right.
make ends meet.
It's not
and-
about just checking everything off the list.
Right, and keeping your mortgage up and,
Mm-hmm.
making sure you have the best job and
Right.
starting way ahead of time to be on work, maybe a little only late.
Right.
And,
Depending on traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've always loved about that area. And even the whole Pacific Northwest is kind of really whatever you're into, you can find your tribe.
Yes.
That is
Right?
so
Yes.
important.
Whether it's, you're really into outdoors, the water, the arts, whatever it is, it's here. And I just think that's great
Yeah.
to have that balance of everything. You guys are all also really accessible. I think you talked about it took you about 2 hours to get here this morning, which
Yeah.
is super easy. You've got an airport.
During rush hour,
Yeah.
so,
So
yeah.
maybe even a little less on the way home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
You've got an airport, so you can travel. You're close to Vancouver, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So you really have access to a lot to amazing things up there.
Yeah, we sometimes call ourselves the pearl in the Vancouver Seattle oyster.
Yes. Oh, that's a good analogy. I like that. That's great.
I thought something that you said before was really worthwhile picking up on in terms of the timing of when about pre-retirement. That that what we've seen is that it's so much less stressful on people if they find their house first, and you probably would
Right.
second that, than if they sell their house and then where are we going to move to? And so knowing like 1 year ahead of time, it's like people usually find us somewhere between 1 year before they're going to retire
Right.
and 10 years, and so we've noticed how much less stressful it is for them that they just get their house on the market. They just start unplugging from their careers because they can still work probably remotely if
Exactly.
they need to for a little bit. And so having just knowing where it is that they're going to go next really seems to relieve people's anxieties.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's all sliding timings of that. We have friends who bought 10 years ago and
Right.
are now just really stepping down.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's just been a base that they get to whenever they can.
Yeah.
And they were actually doing sound work for major TV productions and movies all over the country. But then
Oh my
so they're traveling so much in a way that
They can really
kind
be
of call
anywhere.
anything home.
Yes.
Yeah, so that kind of worked for them. And
It's
then we've
pretty
had-
cool that they chose Bellingham though out of every place that they could live.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and then other people who may have okay, for 3 months we're going to finish out our jobs as
Right.
teachers and have an apartment down there,
Mm-hmm.
where they, down here, and then but they grabbed a great house at a great price, which if they'd waited, they could probably never afford that house.
Right.
But it
That's
was
the
an incredible opportunity.
That's the other reason we see people doing it sooner is you can lock in a great price, great
Yeah.
interest rate,
Yeah.
and then have the benefit of enjoying that whenever
Yeah.
you can,
Yeah.
whether it's just weekends or vacations or what have you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and inventory is tight up there.
Right.
Also, we do have multiple offers and things
Yeah.
like that, and so
So then if
You
it
kinda
takes a
wanna
little
grab-
bit, you're
yeah,
not
you-
stressed.
right. and,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To find something really great, you might want to get it while it's there.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And Bliss, you were saying you're like 45 minutes from Vancouver?
Oh, yeah. So one of the wonderful things about that is that sometimes we get exhibits that come through Vancouver that are out of this world. And so we just had one, I don't know if you saw the movie, it's a documentary during
Okay.
Doctober.
Okay. I
Yes.
love it.
October was
That's such a
called
cute name.
Yellow is Forbidden, and it was about a Chinese designer who is the only Chinese designer who had models walking in Paris Fashion Week.
Okay.
And yellow is forbidden is because only the royalty in the old days used to be able to wear yellow, and so she
Fascinating.
designs with yellow in her costumes. And in fact, I think it was Rhiannon who wore one of her gowns in the Met Gala, and so it
Oh,
was just stunning.
beautiful.
And so anyway, in this exhibit though, they had all these gowns of hers, including the one that Rhiannon wore, and it was such a beautiful exhibit that we went with some clients who've turned into friends of ours, and the four of us went to Vancouver. We're there, 45 minutes, an hour later at this incredible incredible museum, and then we walk in and all four of us got tears in our eyes.
Yeah, we couldn't
Really?
speak.
It was that
None
beautiful.
of us could speak.
Oh my goodness.
We were speechless. I mean, at one point we just had to sit down. It was the most amazing exhibit. But I was thinking to myself, this is incredible that we could live in
Yes.
Bellingham, and this is like something that I would have flown to New York to see. I mean, it was
Right.
just that world class and gorgeous, and I didn't have to. I just got in my Volt, because we
Yes.
drive a Volt,
I love
and there we went. So
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
Vancouver amazes me because it feels like a whole different world.
it is.
Right? It
Yeah.
feels like such a different city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can get over to Victoria from there pretty easily as
Oh,
well, which
good.
is a whole other, you know, beautiful, wonderful lifestyle thing.
Awesome. Do you guys have the Nexus Pass? Or
Yes.
that's your secret for
Yes.
getting
Yeah.
across the border?
Yeah.
The Nexus.
Yeah.
Recommend-
We've never
recommend that
waited.
to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Never waited more than 5 minutes to
Really?
get across the
All
border.
right, we have to do that. We have the whole
Yeah.
global entry thing, but we haven't done
You
it
have
yet.
Nexus? Get Nexus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
$59 for 5 years.
Yeah. I think more than anything, for us with the kids, it's like a group effort, right? Because to take the kids, you have to have
Yes.
both parents at the same time.
Yes.
Not that big of a deal, but more logistics than, hey, let's buzz down and bring this thing out.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
What else should we know about Bellingham? Whether it's the market, types of properties you guys have, or even just some of your favorite places. If someone was going to
Oh,
go
I know
check
one.
out Bellingham.
Yeah. So you might have heard of Lummi Island. So
Yes.
So Lummi
The
Island is.
Willows Inn or something?
That's
Yes.
what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, I've never
Yes.
been.
You
So
haven't
tell me.
been?
It's on my list.
A big anniversary. Go.
Okay.
Yeah. So first of all, it's such a sweet ferry ride to go from Bellingham to Lummi Island. It doesn't
Okay.
take long, 10, 15 minutes, but it's beautiful. And once you get over there,
Well, that restaurant, the Willows, was
Right.
cited by the New York Times as like one of the 10 restaurants in the world worth flying to.
in the
Wow.
world. In the world.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I think you don't have to, but you're encouraged to stay there. It helps with the reservations, right?
Yeah, they do
Which I
have
think
an-
would be
they do have
totally
an-
Oh, it's so
They have
nice
the
because they have a private beach.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but they grow most of their own ingredients.
Okay.
And maybe that helps them get very creative with what they do with food, but it's a lot of very, high-tech, beautiful art on the plate kind
Yes.
of food.
It's on my list. I've heard it's amazing.
Well, we
Yeah.
went there for a big anniversary a few years ago.
Did you?
Yes, we did. And so each plate, though, was a piece of art, but it's edible art. And so I remember one of the plates came, and it looked like a beach on a plate with like rocks from the beach and everything like that. And you could eat every single thing on that plate. It was-
Really?
Yeah.
Aw.
Take lots of pictures for your
Yeah.
Facebook. Yeah.
It's on my list. We're
Good.
going to make it there at some point, for
Good.
sure.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So I would just say that, when people are thinking about what do they want to do with that next phase of their lives, it's at least worth checking Bellingham out.
Okay.
That probably what they're looking for. Dan and I would probably have a hookup for it. We're
Yes.
talking to people who are coming to see us from Oregon tomorrow, actually.
Great.
And so ask them all these questions about lifestyle-wise, what's important to them in their lives, and so we'll be showing them things like the Mount Baker Theater because she's been home raising her kids, but now she wants to get back into theater. So being able to tour Moorish Gorgeous Theater will be fun, and so probably whatever anybody's into, you're going to find it in Bellingham, easier to get to and less expensive. So
And even within Bellingham, we were talking about, are you Blaine, are you Semiahmoo, are you
Yeah.
Sudden Valley, what are you? But just even within Bellingham, there are some very distinct neighborhoods. Some of them are very old and quaint, the kind of central old core neighborhoods, we call them.
a lot of
Right.
people from
And-
Seattle like that neighborhood.
Yeah,
It's
Oh.
Columbia.
lettered streets.
Lettered streets. They're called the core neighborhoods because in Bellingham, the older neighborhoods ring out from the
Oh,
center,
sure.
from the core there, and you can find beautiful craftsmen, Victorians. I mean, just
Oh,
whatever.
perfect. So
yeah.
probably like a Capitol Hill,
Yes.
Queen Anne type person who
Yes.
likes that
Yeah.
style of house would really
Right.
gravitate to
Right.
that neighborhood.
Right, with a view and probably in the 600s. So.
Oh yeah,
And,
like a
you
third
know,
of the price.
Right.
Yeah, and great walkability, and there are
Right.
micro breweries and pubs
Yes.
springing up all over the place.
Right.
And they all can.
Cideries. We have 3 cideries.
Oh,
Just
I
in
love
case
it.
you would need a cidery.
You never know. It's a thing.
It is.
It's all very walkable. I mean, we
Yeah.
see our clients walking here, walking there, volunteering at the independent film theater.
I love it.
you know.
And I find that for that lifestyle kind of pre-retirement move, that is some of the driving things, right?
Yes.
Because you want accessibility, but also if you're moving to a new place, you want to be able to connect,
Yeah.
right? And, people talk about it, especially if you have kids at home, right? we're super connected because we got sports, we got
Yeah.
school. We're just automatically connected to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But you take that for granted. Your kids graduate, they move away, and those connections go away. So now you kind of you've got to find a new community.
Yes.
And ways to interact with people. And
It's
I'm
really
finding
easy,
that's
Nicole.
a big driver.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really easy to meet people in Bellingham. So you just figure out what is it you love to do and go and do it. And then there'll be other, like for example, one of the ways I met people was that I love to hike and walk. And so there are several hiking clubs in Bellingham. And so I started walking with one, and before I knew it, I have at least 5 friends through that club.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it. And I love that you relocated from somewhere else because you get it.
Yes.
Right? When you're working with clients, whether they're already in Bellingham making that lifestyle move or coming from somewhere else,
Yeah.
you really get how important it is to not just find them a house, but really help them get ingrained into that community so that they're going to love living there. Because
Yeah.
that's a big part of what we do.
Yep.
Like we talk about on the show, it is so much more than bedrooms and baths. It's really helping people find their groove
Oh,
and
yeah.
their vibe.
Well, that's the fun part of it. I mean,
It is.
I sometimes tease him that we're lifestyle Sherpas,
Oh, that's a cute
Well, she's
analogy.
found many people their job
Yeah.
here.
Have you?
Like, yeah,
All right.
somebody who's they're hankering. They love Village Books. Next thing, we know the owners, and next thing they're working there.
That's
And,
fantastic.
You just have to tell me what you want.
Okay.
The fairy godmother
There
of
you
Bellingham.
go.
Just wave around.
I love it. It's a new tagline coming for you.
There you go. That would make him the godfather, the fairy godfather.
Oh, there you go.
There could be a horse's
I don't
head
know
in someone's
about
bed.
that.
So we
Oh,
don't-
well, all right. This
No.
could go either way.
yeah.
that's staging on a different level than
There you go.
we usually go to.
That's awesome. And we're going to make sure we have links for everything that you guys have talked about on the website after the show,
Oh, that's great.
NicoleMangina.com/podcast. If you're thinking about making a move, whether it's a lifestyle move or something else, here locally or up in Bellingham, we'll also have all of our contact information on the website after the show. We encourage you to reach out, even if it's just to ask questions and kind of you're starting to feel it out, because this is definitely a move that usually takes a little bit. It's a process.
Yep.
You just kind of have to start gathering information. We are more than happy to have those conversations with you. You can find all of our contact information on the website after the show, NicoleMangina.com/podcast. Bliss and Dan, thanks for being here today.
Oh, it's fun,
Yeah, it was
Nicole.
fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was great. I'm planning my next trip to Bellingham.
Oh.
Yay.
There's all
Sounds
kinds of
good.
stuff. I'm going to go home and be like, kids, we're moving to Bellingham. Maybe not
Welcome.
quite that soon.
Okay. We'll be patient.
Yes. So the Chrysalis Inn is one of our favorite spots.
Oh,
up
that's a
there.
good one. Yeah.
Yeah, we love that place. So there's always a good reason to go there, and then maybe we'll go spend the weekend up on Lummi Island.
You'll have
Right at
fun.
Willow's Inn. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. Thanks so much for being here
Oh,
today.
thanks for having us. This is
Yeah.
fun.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. We'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.
Good, perfect. Sorry, I just didn't want you to get up real fast. And, my hands are busy. I can't do that. That's what you're doing.
Yay.